Stop what you're doing. I'm going to make this quick. In less than 10 days, a man is set to be executed in the state of Missouri despite DNA proof that he is innocent. His name is Marcellus Williams. In 2001, Marcellus Williams was accused and convicted of the killing of a white woman named Felicia Gale. At the start of this year, prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell ran new DNA testing against evidence from the crime scene that explicitly excluded Marcellus Williams as the source of DNA. Based on this, he filed a motion to vacate Williams' conviction. Simple math. Why allow the execution of a man whose DNA cannot be tied to the crime? At the very least, you would think this would call for pause, but this man, Judge Bruce F. Hilton, called that nothing more than repackaged arguments and denied the motion. If you're not sick to your stomach yet, just know it gets worse. Marcellus is by definition a casualty of the system. Not only was his DNA not found on the weapon, DNA from the original prosecution team was found all over it. This is scary. How is the public supposed to trust a justice system that mishandles evidence, proceeds with an unfair trial, and denies the right to revisit a case that could and will result in the execution of an innocent man, even after the improper handling of the case has been exposed and presented in court? My heart aches for Marcellus because in an attempt to avoid his own murder, he agreed to enter an Alford plea a few months ago, which would have meant he'd settle for life without parole. But believe it or not, that was not good enough for Missouri's Attorney General Andrew Bailey, who actually went out of his way to ask the state Supreme Court to block the agreement just hours after it was accepted. Process that. He agreed to life without parole for a crime he did not commit. The agreement was accepted, and then a few hours later, after settling his mind on a new fate, Andrew Bailey robbed him of the small sliver of hope he managed to grasp. Now, just for a second, I want to paint a picture of this AG. He is truly a despicable person, so I won't waste too much breath. Keeping innocent people behind bars is his thing. So much so that on July 19th of this year, a judge had to threaten to hold him in contempt of court for refusing to release a woman from prison whose sentence was overturned. He actually told prison staff to hold an innocent woman against her will and the will of the courts. By no stretch of the imagination, he gets off on this. And in July, announced intentions to appeal and block a judge's ruling of innocence in the case of Christopher Dunn, who had already wrongfully served 33 years in prison. Thankfully, that was out of his hands. To be honest, I have a hard time pinning his intentions to anything else but pure evil. In the case of Marcellus Williams, his fate was determined by 11 white jurors and 1 black juror, in a case where historic bias has infamously failed black men in this country. A black man accused of killing a white woman in this country has always served as an easy cop-out for the lazy minions of our justice system, who would rather further a narrative than find culprits. Williams' case has been appealed several times. Sadly, he's in a much more vulnerable position despite more than enough legal grounds to avert an execution. Both informants in Williams' case had inconsistent stories that they only decided to share after the family of Felicia Gale went public with a $10,000 reward for information on the murder. The uncertainty in this case is overwhelming. The questions and contradictions would make any decent individual highly uncomfortable with carrying out a state-sanctioned execution. Yet, here we are. Share this video, but most importantly, call, tweet, and email Governor Parson now at 417-373-3400 and visit the Innocence Project website to find out how you can amplify this story. I'm sorry, Marcellus. To know that your fate is left in the hands of heartless white men with ulterior motives, no regard for human life, and soulless convictions is heartbreaking. I do believe hypocrisy will eventually cripple them. I just pray that you will live to see it happen. I'm Timme, and thank you for joining me for this episode of Timme Talks Politics.